Questions for reflection. In our first reading, selected verses from the 18th chapter of the prophet Ezekiel, we heard portions of the word of the Lord the prophet was called to deliver to Israel. They confirm a fundamental moral teaching of both the Old and the New Testaments, that our choices matter. We are called to always do what is right and just, to choose what is true and noble and good, to obey the law of the Lord. As Christians, we know that the effects of sin make that impossible on our own. But the Father sent His Son Jesus as our Savior to make it possible. He became like us, the author of the letter to the Hebrews tells us. He became like us in all things but sin. That's Hebrews 4:15. Through His passion, saving death, and resurrection, Jesus paid the penalty for our sin and defeated the world, the flesh, and the devil. He defeated death, a consequence of sin, by His death. And through His resurrection, He opened up a whole new way of living for us, and if we remain faithful, an eternity with Him. Jesus gives us the grace we need to make the right choices. He calls us to turn and be converted, to receive a new heart and a new spirit, as the Lord said through Ezekiel. What we choose in a certain sense will determine who we will become. Choosing what is good changes the chooser, empowering him or her to proceed along the pathways of virtue and develop the habits which help to form Christian character as they cooperate with grace. The Catechism of the Catholic Church addresses human choice, action, and freedom. And here is a short excerpt, and I quote, "The more one does what is good, the freer one becomes. There is no true freedom except in the service of what is good and just. The choice to disobey and do evil is an abuse of freedom and leads to the slavery of sin." That's paragraph 1733, quoting Romans 6:17. What are we choosing? Who are we becoming as a result? In the psalm response, we sang or said with David, quote, "Create a clean heart in me, O God." In the biblical and theological sense, the heart is the seat of our moral personality. And I quote, "The heart is the seat of moral personality. Out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, fornication." The struggle against carnal covetousness entails purifying the heart and practicing temperance. And that's from paragraph 2517 of the Catechism and Matthew's Gospel. The heart is the place from which we make the choices which either lead to virtue or vice, sin or salvation. So let us choose today to offer the Lord a contrite heart. In reflecting on the short passage we heard from St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 19, verses 13 to 15, the context is helpful. Jesus had just finished a teaching on the indissolubility of marriage and the prohibition against divorce. The Pharisees were trying to test Him. Immediately after that, children were brought to Him, and He received them, saying, "Let the little children alone, and do not stop them from coming to me. For it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." Then He blessed them and went away. The point is clear. We are to receive the Lord's words with the innocence and purity and simplicity of children. Believe those words and choose to live them. Do we?